Good morning. On behalf of the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbus, I would like to welcome you to our Sunday service. I am Donald Jones. I am the chair of your Board of Trustees, and I have been a member of this congregation since 2019. Let us begin our time together by acknowledging the land which holds us, home of the Adena, the Hopewell, the Wyandotte, the Miami, the Seneca, and the Cayuga. Gathered here and online, may we be grateful, thoughtful, and humble. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening song, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. It is number 34 in the gray hymnal. If you're at home, feel free to sing as loud and strong as you wish. If you're here in the worship center, I invite you to rise in body and or spirit and either hum or sing softly, sharing your love, but not your breath.
Good morning. Usually this part is Kelly McNeil's part, but she is off today, enjoying a Sunday off. And I'm Reverend Dr. Marion Stewart. It is my pleasure to serve this congregation as senior minister. It is so very good to see you all here this morning and feel the presence of those who are joining us online. Usually we have about 50 or so in here and 100 or so online, and many more watch the recording in the week to come. So thank you all wherever you are, and thank you so much for starting to come back. As the numbers go down, we are so glad to welcome you here. It's not much fun preaching to yourself, to a camera. So thank you for being here, and the singing works better too. You are welcome, if you're a visitor here, to join us here, have a name tag, also visit the guest table out front. We have lots of things for you, and for everyone, there's a new theme packet for this month, is Holding History. You're welcome to take that home so that you can read more about our theme with readings and videos and poems and song references. They're all in the packet. You can also request those online. Don't forget to, you can access our order of service and Joys and Sorrows form and donation page through the QR code. You'll see it up here on the screen. So this is the one time you can pull out your phone and take a picture, and you can get the order of service, whatever it is you need. I also want to highlight one thing this morning. Our youth group is fantastic. They've got a lot of energy, and they're trying to Be present with where we are as a congregation. They have created a wailing wall, if you will. You can, on strips of paper, you can write anything you want and weave it into this wall. And I don't know about you, but I have some losses and griefs from this long period of pandemic. And if you've felt some tensions in your life, some losses, griefs, feel free to go back down that main hallway toward the kitchen, and you'll see it on your left, kind of on the way to the restrooms as well. Just take a moment and put your own prayer right into that wailing wall. Now I invite you to center as we listen to this morning's prelude.
Thank you, Nathan. If you are joining us online, I invite you to bring your chalices closer so we may kindle our flames together. Our chalice lighting this morning is from Fulgens Nagajimana. When strangers meet, endless possibilities emerge. New experiences, new ways of understanding, and new ways of taking action. When strangers meet, each pays special attention to the other. Each is called to serve something larger than the self. Today, this morning, let's light the chalice for openness, for willingness to grow, for rich curiosity, and for common purpose. Our chalice is lit.
I'm Amber Scott, and I serve as your Director of Religious Exploration. Classes for families with children are happening during the worship service outside on the playground of the School for Young Children. After the story, you'll have the opportunity to join our other families outdoors if you so choose. Today's story is called That's Good, That's Bad, written by Marjorie Coulier and illustrated by David Catrow. One day, a little boy went to the zoo with his mother and father. They bought him a shiny red balloon. It lifted him high up into the sky. Wow! Oh, that's good. No, that's bad. The balloon drifted for miles and miles until it came to a hot, steamy jungle. It broke on the branch of a tall, prickly tree. Pop! Oh, that's bad. No, that's good. The little boy fell into a muddy river. Splat! He climbed up onto a roly-poly hippopotamus and rode to shore. Giddy up! Oh, that's good. No, that's bad. 10 noisy baboons were squabbling in the grass by the river. They chased the little boy up a tree until he was out of breath. Oh, that's bad. No, that's good. The baboons wanted to play vine swing with the little boy. What fun! The little boy grabbed a vine and swung out of their reach. Whee! Oh, that's good. No, that's bad. The vine was a big, scary snake that wiggled and jiggled and hissed. Oh, that's bad. No, that's good. The little boy lost his grip. Whoops! And landed on the back of a giraffe. Hooray! Oh, that's good. No, that's bad. The giraffe leaned over to drink some swampy water. Glug, glug. The little boy slid down its neck and fell into some quicksand next to an elephant. Slop. Oh, that's bad. No, that's good. The elephant grabbed the little boy with its trunk and lifted him up, up, up onto its shoulders. Whoosh! Oh, that's good. No, that's bad. The elephant thumped bumpily along to a grassy plain where it stopped to feed. The little boy climbed down its trunk and woke up a big daddy lion snoring in the grass. Oh, that's bad. No, that's good. When the lion saw the little boy, it purred and licked the little boy's face. Slurp. Oh, that's good. No, that's bad. The little boy got all wet and sticky. Yuck. And ran deeper into the jungle. It was as dark as night. Ooh, and the little boy was afraid. He sat down and started to cry. Boo-hoo! Oh, that's bad. No, that's good. His tears made such a big puddle that a stork came along to have a drink. Sip. It picked up the little boy with its beak. Whish! Oh, that's good. No, that's bad. The stork flew the little boy across the dark, windy sky. Flap, flap. The little boy thought he would never see his parents again. Sob. Oh, that's bad. No, that's good. The stork knew where it was going. It took the little boy back to the zoo and dropped him into his parents' arms. Plop. His mother and father were so happy to see him, they gave him a big hug and a big kiss. Mwah! Oh, that's good. No, that's great. The end. In this story, as in life, some things happened that were good, some things happened that were bad, and some things happened that were a mix of both. There were times when things that seemed like obstacles at first actually helped the little boy to move forward on his journey. I invite you to consider how shifting your perspective could change a mishap into an adventure. Children and families who would like to participate in outdoor Sunday school are now invited to head towards the playground during this next song.
Ooh, that's good. You know, I love the children's stories, and it's especially exciting to listen to Amber because she really gets into it. I think she practices some of those sounds at home. To participate in our caring meditation this morning, or to ask for pastoral or practical support with any difficulty in your life, now is the time to fill out a Joys and Sorrows form. You can find it by scanning the QR code that's on the screen, or by going to firstuucolumbus.org/Sunday. If we receive your joy or sorrow in the next few minutes, we'll read it out loud during the caring meditation. That's whether you're in person or at home watching live stream. This form is also available throughout the week. We've also have several pastoral listeners here this morning. You can spot them by their purple scarf they're wearing. They'll be up here later so you can see them. And they'll join us later for that caring meditation. They're available to chat after this service if there's anything you need to have heard or witnessed. And other members of our pastoral team are also available throughout the week. For our centering words this morning, I want to keep up with this theme of that's good, that's bad. We're going to start off with that's good. I want to particularly appreciate everyone who helps with the Sunday morning service, including our fabulous AV team. They're just awesome. I also want to thank Sue and Denise for every Sunday doing fabulous chancel arrangements. And in particular this morning for Sue for doing the slide. She's doing the clicker, so thank you, Sue. Because here, that's good, that's great even, but here's a that's bad. Because this morning's centering reading is actually a math test. Go ahead. Aw. Okay. You can take a picture of that if you want to. You can think about it later. I will also put it in Rev Talk this week so you can think about it more. And I just want you to have a moment to contemplate what your answer is to this math quiz. It was on Facebook a while back, and I thought this would be a wonderful way to open our minds to start thinking about kind of the if-thens and how we come up with answers, what our truths are. So I will give the answer in my reflection. So have fun with that. In the meantime, we're going to listen to our Chalice Choir sing our choral anthem for this week. And because this was a math question, oh no, that's bad, the choir is going to sing breaths. We all need one, and that's good.
Things and to be,
A little bit of a funny story. So Mary and I talk regularly, and we were talking about upcoming services, and she mentioned that she was going to be speaking about truth and how we kind of navigate truth in our current age. And I was like, I've got some texts that I think you might find interesting. So I used to live in Washington, D.C. with my husband. And for a variety of serendipitous reasons, he actually had a job in the Obama White House writing proclamations. So here's something you might not realize, is that proclamations that presidents do, they don't all write them. They don't all sit there and write all the proclamations that come out from the White House about various days of the year. So Andrew got this assignment to write a proclamation for National Information Literacy Awareness Month. And he had no idea what to do, because it was not his area of interest and not an area of understanding. Well, I had gone to grad school and I had studied communications, culture, and technology. So he was like, can you help me with this? So I actually ended up writing this piece of text, and it's in the Federal Register as a proclamation from Barack Obama that I wrote. Kind of cool. I got it on my wall. It's just a neat thing to have. So I want to read for you this excerpt from Proclamation 8429 of October 1st, 2009, National Information Literacy Awareness Month, 2009, by Barack Obama, as written by Don Jones. Every day, we are inundated with vast amounts of information. A 24-hour news cycle and thousands of global television and radio networks, coupled with an immense array of online resources, have challenged our long-held perceptions of information management. Rather than merely possessing data, we must also learn the skills necessary to acquire, collate, and evaluate information for any situation. This new type of literacy also requires competency with communications technologies, including computers and mobile devices that can help in our day-to-day decision-making. Though we may know how to find the information we need, we must also know how to evaluate it. Over the past decade, and I would say on this side probably until today, we have seen a crisis of authenticity emerge. We now live in a world where anyone can publish an opinion or perspective, whether true or not, and have that opinion amplified within the information marketplace. At the same time, Americans have unprecedented access to the diverse and independent sources of information, as well as institutions, such as libraries and universities, that can help separate truth from fiction and signal from noise. It is equally important that we learn the skills and have the tools required to take advantage of the information available to us. The ability to seek, find, and decipher information can be applied in countless life decisions, whether financial, medical, educational, or technical. And again, today I would add political and ideological. This month, we dedicate ourselves to increasing information literacy awareness so that all citizens understand its vital importance. An informed and educated citizenry is essential to the functioning of our modern democratic society, and I encourage educational and community institutions across the country to help Americans find and evaluate the information they seek in all its forms. I call upon the people of the United States to recognize the important role information plays in our daily lives and appreciate the need for a greater understanding of its impact. Let us join in singing what is probably a new song for this congregation. It is hymn number 339, Knowledge They Say, in your gray hymnal. Nathan will play through it once, and then Chalice Choir will lead us.
Thank you for singing the song. You know, ministers are famous for picking songs because of the words. I'm not in the choir. Don is. Thank you. First, let me give you an answer for the math quiz. Are you ready? Do you have your answers? Was it up there long enough? Okay, there's not just one answer. Open mind, right? There are actually 3 answers that you could argue are all true. Who got 18? Who got 12? Who got 3? Because 3 is 3, right? I know. But that was just kind of a quiz to help open us up this morning for what is true, so that what we think in our own minds is true might not be what other people think is true. And I also want to thank Don for the proclamation for lifting up the crisis of authenticity. Would folks agree with that? We have a crisis here. We have a crisis between the perspective of opinion and truth. And Don asked us to seek, find, and decipher information so we can separate truth from fiction and signal from noise. I love that, signal from noise. Thank you. So let's practice. Here's a quote from this past week. Sometimes I go and look at myself and look up myself when things come up. This time, I didn't have time to do it. It's not my job in a fast-moving case to go out and investigate every piece of evidence that's given to me. Otherwise, you're never going to write a story. You're never going to come to a conclusion. Anybody know who said that? Those are the words of Rudy Giuliani, former advisor and former president, advisor to the former president, and he spoke those words under oath while on trial for defamation. It's not my job to verify claims before I repeat them to the public. It's just what I was told. Those are Giuliani's words. So, if that's what the advisors to our leaders are perpetuating out there in the public marketplace of ideas, I'm just curious, how did we get here? And when did the truth stop mattering? We live in a country that seems to have become immune to pants on fire Pinocchio ratings. You remember Pinocchio. Every time he told a lie, his nose would grow. Pinocchio was a wooden boy, and when the blue fairy asked him why he didn't go to school, Pinocchio made up an answer and said that he and Jimmy were captured by monsters. In response to this lie, his nose grew. And as Pinocchio told more and more lies, his nose grew more and more, eventually becoming a tree limb complete with leaves and a bird's nest. Now, I was looking at that story again, and this idea that we might have heard enough lies by this time over the past few years that we'd have enough tree limbs out there full of branches and leaves and all this stuff and birds that we might have fixed climate change by now, but I digress. What happened to truth? When did it become so unhinged from reality? William Schreiker, professor of theological ethics at the Divinity School, reflected on our current situation in the January 25th edition of Sightings, Reflections on Religion in Public Life. Here's what he wrote. It's no secret that we have been living through a global debate about truth. In the academy, there are disputes about scientific truth versus truth as disclosure, deconstructions of truth, and so-called regimes of truth. Philosophers and theologians debate whether or not there are moral truths, and if so, what are they? Public figures in the United States assure us that some truths are self-evident, especially about the rights of human equality, only to have historians note that that self-evidence originally attained only in the case of free white men. But later, in the voice of Frederick Douglass, Martin Luther King Jr., John Lewis, and so many others, dignity was recognized for men. Generations of women, from Sojourner Truth to suffragettes to the women's movement the world over, have struggled against tyranny, abuse, poverty, political and religious exclusion, and all manner of hatred. Meanwhile, too many religious people, their leaders, and their doctrines live assured of the absolute truth of their convictions and their rights to privilege and property, assigning others to hovels or death. There's the scope of truth these days. And I have a feeling it's been a struggle in every generation. Today, this deconstruction or trashing reach into every arena of life. But as humans, as cultures, we have been here before. Pascal, the 17th century philosopher, gave us a forewarning. He wrote, "Truth is so obscure in these times, and falsehood so established, that unless we love the truth, we cannot know it." Now, we grow up learning about truth and thinking that all the things we learn are true. We take it for granted until we begin to learn the ways of the world. The tension then threatens our whole moral foundation. I love what Anne Lamott, the writer, said about truth in one of her novels, Thoughts on Grace, Eventually. She writes, "There's not much truth being told in the world. There never was. This has proven to be a major disappointment to some of us. When I was a child, I thought grown-ups and teachers knew the truth because they told me it did. It took years for me to discover that the first step in finding out the truth is to begin unlearning almost everything adults had taught me, and to start doing all the things they told me not to do." I'll let you sit on that one for a minute. So much for we've always done it that way. It shields and cocoons us against the evolution of progress and of generations. John F. Kennedy spoke to this when he said, "The great enemy of truth is very often not the lie, deliberate, contrived, and dishonest, but the myth, persistent, persuasive, and unrealistic. Too often we hold fast to the cliches of our forebears. We subject all facts to a prefabricated set of interpretations. We enjoy the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought." We often hear that truth can set us free, but what is the truth? Let's look at two dimensions, public and private. In the public arena, we need to have the basic agreement on reality. In her essay, Truth or Consequences, Sophia Rosenfeld states it this way: "We need to have acquired some very basic shared understanding about what causes what's broadly desirable, what's dangerous, and how to characterize what's already happened. This public knowledge is the foundation on which democratic politics, in which no one person or institution has the sole authority to determine what's what and all claims are ultimately revisable. This sole authority is supposed to rest. It's also imagined to be one of the most exalted products of the democratic process. And to a certain degree, this particular messy version of truth has held its own in modern liberal democracies, including the United States, for most of their history." Rosenfeld observes that today we live in epistemic tribes, one person's truth is another's hoax or lie. Think about that math problem. Was it 18? Was it 12? Was it 3? One person's truth is another person's hoax. We all live in a world where truth is as subjective as everything else. We have lost the common grounding or shared public knowledge, and to many, it doesn't even seem to matter. That's sobering. We all feel it, and it's hard to escape. In our personal lives, truth is, well, it's personal. Truth, according to Maria Popova, editor of Brain Pickings, is in our capacity for constructing the models of real world built upon the theories of exquisite internal consistency, that those theories that can have zero external validity when tested against reality, and that we rarely get to test them or wish to test them. This is dangerous not only for us, but also as a community and as a country. When we fall prey to so many personal theories of truth that have no validity or slip into conspiracy theories that have little or no basis in reality, we succumb to what Socrates called the lie of the soul. It is a collapse of the imagination that becomes embedded in our lives. It is dangerous and it's destructive. These self-lies range from I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not rich enough, to I am the best, I know the answer, only I can lead, and loop back to I can do anything because I'm the best. I think we've heard some of that in our political marketplace in the last few years. But these lies are harmful. They can lead us to destructive behaviors, broken relationships, and worse. Reality checks are needed, but it is difficult to shake these personal truths. One way out is to tap into our creative capacities. Imagine a different way of being. When a friend of mine first came to a UU church, she noticed that other couples were behaving differently than what she had experienced in her own relationship. These couples at the church actually got along. They liked each other. They had deep conversations, and occasionally they even laughed. My friend thought about all of this, what she had seen at this church, not this one, but another UU church, and she decided that she wanted that in her own life. She went to counseling. She and her partner worked on reimagining their relationship. They held out the truth of what was not working and filtered that through the reality of what she had seen in other couples' behavior. It changed their lives. Now, I have to look at this example and wonder about personal truths that I am holding that also need to be re-examined. You might have some too, I don't know. The story goes that years ago at the First Unitarian Society of Chicago, a Board of Trustees meeting stretched long into the wee hours, wrestling towards a decision. Don, you wouldn't know anything about long board meetings, would you? I didn't think so, not that we haven't had several in a row. We're working on that. But anyway, it was 1948, so imagine this, 1948, just take your mind back there, and the church was all white in a neighborhood filled with a diversity of people and many African Americans. The church leaders wanted to address the segregation they found within the congregation. They had to do it, though, by changing their bylaws, because it was actually in their bylaws that only white people could join. Can you imagine that? I know. We put it in our laws, all sorts of structural stuff, right? But they actually wanted to welcome everybody from the neighborhood. So they had to do their homework, and there they were, late into the night. And they kept going and going and going, and there were some holdouts. How do we get this done? Turned out there was a distance between what they thought was right and what they said they wanted in their church, and each person had their own truth. As the meeting dragged on and on, there remained one holdout. James Luther Adams, a prominent Unitarian theologian and member of the congregation, reminded people that they should be listening twice as much as they were talking. Maybe we should put that out into the political world. But listening twice as much as they were talking, and to one board member he asked, "What do you say is the purpose of this church?" Innocent question, right? But the board member, listening to his own heart and his own version of truth, balanced that with all that he had heard that night and said, "Okay, Jim, the purpose of this church is to get hold of people like me and change them." True story. So how can we take our own personal truths and validate them in reality? How can we be brave enough to share our truths into a safe space where everyone listens? We all have our truths. We all need to listen. What happens when our own truths, though, fall a little bit short of what we say we want to be? Can we use our imagination to close that gap? I believe we can, and there's no simple answer, and every answer will be up to the people involved. I believe we live in a country that values freedom, not just personal, and in a congregation that values freedom, not just personal, but collective. But in this age of conspiracy theories and fake news that gaslight the truth, I wonder what our role is. Can we imagine and dislodge our own internal truths enough so that others can have the freedom we also want? Can the rise and fall of truth lead to a new day of shared wisdom? Fixing our country, oh my gosh, it'll take a lot of work. But I find, as with most things, we need to begin with ourselves and work out from there. It's hard work, but over the years I've discovered that my truth, my freedom, begins with me, but it ends when it meets your truth, your freedom. And it is in that space, that moment, where we can put our imagination to work and come up with a shared or collective understanding of how to move forward. That's the beauty of what we do here at this church. I figure it's like a grand experiment of how we live our life, not only for ourselves, but in community, and how we take it out from here into our personal lives, into our work lives, and out into the larger world. What an opportunity. I'll let the words of Amanda Gorman encourage us to do the work. This is an excerpt from her Inauguration Day poem, "The Hill We Climb." When the day comes to ask ourselves where we can find light in this never-ending shade, when the day comes to step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid, the new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light. If only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it. Blessed be, and amen.
Our church is a community of love, caring, and generosity. Together we work for a more just world. To offer our gifts and pay our promised pledges is to say yes. We are defined by our hearts and our deeper values. Our Share the Plate recipient for November is the Sedona Grace Foundation. Sedona Grace is a public charity that provides dog food and treats, aka canine care packages, to families in need throughout Central Ohio food pantries. Jill Cotton from Sedona Grace is here with us this morning and will share a little bit about Sedona Grace's mission and work. Jill?
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. And for those cat people out there, we do cat food too. I'm sorry. There you go. We love them all. I want to thank you all for having me here. I am humbled to be able to introduce you to something I'm very passionate about, which is our charity. I want to thank Jacques here for suggesting the Sedona Grace Foundation. Jacques has been one of our volunteers for over 5 years. And we love him dearly, and I'm so thankful that he had nominated us and that I'm here to be able to talk to you. So how many of you have pets? Oh, okay, this is great. So you probably can relate to sometimes an animal comes into your life and changes everything. In 2005, my husband and I went to the Franklin County animal shelter, and my eyes locked in to a white German Shepherd yellow lab mix that was the color of the red rocks of Sedona. When I looked at her, something went through me, and I said to my husband, we must have this dog. We got with the paperwork done, we walked out to the parking lot. For some reason, we let go of the leash. I think we dropped the leash. She went right to our car and sat down, as if to say, I'm in your life now and I'm going to change everything. My husband had never had a dog before, and he was struggling with some things personally. And in the 6 short years that we had her, he changed her, or she changed him so much, actually helped him quit smoking, actually taught him about unconditional love. It always haunted me why someone would have dropped this dog to the shelter at 3 years old. They had taught her to sit, roll over, and shake. It haunted me to know that for some reason they felt like they had to get rid of this dog, and the drive home from that shelter had to have been awful. We only had Sedona for 6 short years, and she died of cancer. When she died in 2011, I said to my husband, this has haunted me. I wonder if somebody just couldn't feed her. And something happened in their life and they just couldn't afford to feed her. So we came up with this great idea is, hey, let's provide pet food to food pantries so people going through tough times don't have to give up their pets. And I thought, well, if we can just save one pet from getting dropped off at a shelter, which was already overflowing, or the pound, which was already overflowing, then we have done our job. So we took some dog food and cat food and packed it up, and we walked into the first pantry that I could think of, which was a small grassroots pantry in the Linworth area. And I said, do you think that your shoppers would use this pet food? And she's like, oh my gosh, yes. We know people that share their food with their pets. We know people who are going without to have their pets. So then I went to another food pantry, and I said the same thing. That food pantry said, I don't think we need that. I don't think we need pet food. I said, okay. I said, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna give you 10 bags. And if you need more, give me a call. She called the next day, and she said it flew off the shelves. So fast forward, we now serve 11 food pantries in the Central Ohio area, and then we also provide for Jacques' food pantry, the one in Athens County. I'm from Athens County, so we really have a bond with that. So what we are providing food pantries, and I'll show you, I brought some bags with me. Sorry. We take large bags of kibble and we break them down. This is these are our feline care packages, and these are our canine care packages. We have two sizes. Some pantries can't take the big ones because of space, but we also have milk bones in with the dog food packets because these dogs do not get teeth treatments, and so we figured that this will help. Plus, if you run out of dog food, you can smash these up and feed it. With the cat food packages, from time to time, when we get donations of treats, we attach the treats to them. So this is what it looks like when it goes to the food pantries. So I brought some statistics along with me. First of all, I just want to let you know, we were a smooth running machine for about 9 years, and then COVID hit. Jacques and 25 other people would meet once a month, and they would pack over 3,000 pounds of pet food, so that the whole month we were able to take them to food pantries. We had drivers that would take different food pantries. So then COVID hit. And I said to myself, I am not going to be one of those charities that huddles and disappears. So I was at our little headquarters, which is a room in a church, and I packed for months, and then gradually brought 1 or 2 people in. Now we're up to 5 people every week. So I'm happy to say that in 2020, we delivered 14,027 pet food packets to food pantries. That equated to 56,904 pounds of dry dog and cat food. It costs us about $10,000 a year to operate because we have the pet food. A lot of it's donated. A lot of it we take monetary donations and get the best price we can, which has been Sam's Club for both the cat and dog food. We use baggies. We have learned Ziploc baggies work best and they don't bust. We use packing tape, so there's a number of things that we do use that takes that $10,000. Since our clients, so to speak, are the food pantries, we do not really ever see the end user. However, there is a poster board when you walk in today about our foundation that actually has quotes that we have gotten via email from people that say thank you. Various stories. We've heard a lot of them, and they touch our hearts with each one. We also have some quotes from some food pantries because they do see the end user, and they do see how much this touches people's lives. So I did some math today, and I figured we touch 695 pets a month through all of our deliveries to the food pantries. So does anybody have any questions or comments on what we do? Is that too much? 2 minutes? Okay. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And please stop to see the poster board when you walk in.
Thank you, Jill. Our donations have a bigger impact when we give together. Regardless of your ability to contribute, we value your presence here. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Yours is an offering that enriches us all. I'm Ron Payne, one of the pastoral listeners. My wife Jane and I have been members here for 2 years, and it delights us. All of us probably think that we're quite transparent, but because we are always partly opaque to ourselves, even at our most self-aware, then fiction and real life have something wonderful in common, wonderful and disorienting. The ability to surprise. Both are a form of walking through the half-mapped territory of being real or imagined, making the path in the act of walking, and so revising the map with each step. In both, we can set out for one direction and arrive at another, or as another. In both, we are propelled partly by our directional intentionality and partly by something else, something that is ineffable, yet commanding, that draws its momentum from the energy of uncertainty. It is this uncertainty that we live our lives. We have both joys and sorrows, and as William Blake writes, they are woven fine. Today we want to especially lift up the family of Jesse Cannon. An online celebration of Jesse's life was held yesterday. I now invite Sharon to help lead our caring meditations and share this morning's joys and concerns.
This morning, we have one update from Lisa O. Lisa O reports that her sister in Oklahoma suffered a stroke. She is now in rehab, and Lisa appreciates all prayers and good thoughts as her sister begins her path to recovery.
May we hold this imploring of your best wishes and all joys and sorrows unexpressed in our hearts. When the time comes, just let them flow. As Reverend Marion rings our temple bell, I invite you to a brief time of silence, invite you to use this time to reflect, to imagine, to pray, or just simply be. I'll ring the bell a second time as we continue our service.
Thank you, Ron, and thank you all for being such a caring community. I see that every day of the week. I invite you to rise in body and spirit and let us sing our closing song. It's number 6 in your gray hymn book if you need that, but I believe you might know it. Just as long as I have breath. And again, rise as you're willing and able, sing softly, sharing your love, but not your actual breath.
If you have joined us online, I invite you to bring your chalice close so we can extinguish the flame together. After our service has concluded, please join our coffee hour outside the main entrance. If you are online, please use the Zoom link sent this morning to join an online coffee hour. This week's online coffee hour is hosted by our Anti-Racist Allies group. In person or online, all are welcome to join the conversation. Let us now join together in saying our chalice extinguishing words. We exchange this flame, but not the light of vision. As we go forth, let us heal and transform ourselves and our world through reason and love. Our chalice is extinguished. Please remain seated as our choir sings our benediction, and then Nathan plays our postlude. After the postlude, we look forward to seeing you outside for coffee hour.